Welcome to LNP Renewable System Integrator. Today we are going to discuss about the solar project success roadmap. Okay, so if we categorize the entire process of the solar project, we have a preliminary study and we have a design evaluation, then comes the bidding support, then supply chain management, then construction management, acceptance procedure, and last operation and maintenance guidance. Okay, so when we get into the critical part of this preliminary study, okay, we need to make a comprehensive assessment of the environment, okay, pollution, shadow factors that may affect the power generation in the planned solar product, and we need to evaluate the solar resources of the site location and give the technical advice on the system design accordings. Okay, and most important things that you need to have when you're doing the preliminary study is that you need to have a site investigation report, then you need to have a solar resource study, then feasibility study review. Okay, next comes the design evaluation. Okay, so based on the internal database, okay, it will help us to evaluate and select suppliers. Okay, and we need to follow the local code, environmental sustainability and technical specifications. Okay, and most importantly, we need to ensure that the design meets the requirement of the IEC standards as well as the local code of conduct, especially because this local code here refers to state, the standards might differ. Okay, in central they will follow the IEC standard, but when you get into some state, they have some standards requirements that we need to follow. Okay, so during the design process, we can use knowledge databases, we can use the PV software for designing. Okay, and most importantly, we need to have IEC standards with us. Okay, so at the process of design evaluation, we will have the supplier assessment, who is best one, okay, which supplier is best, which has a good efficiency. Okay, and we need to have a related standards regarding to it, and we need to look after the design review. Okay, whatever design is okay, will it suits us, okay, or is there any drawbacks in it? Those things we need to consider, and most importantly, we need to do the energy yield forecast. And during the design evaluation process, we'll have a system modeling, we'll have a shadow analysis, we'll have an energy yield prediction, and we also make the energy loss analysis also. Okay, and most importantly, whenever you do the design process, after the end of it, you need to have the following things in here. One is that you need to have a system description diagram, then you need to have an equipment layout as well as the interconnection diagram, then you need to have a wire and earthing layout diagram. Okay, next comes the single line diagram of the electrical panels, because it will be easy for the engineers and the technician who is working on the project, or it also will be useful when we complete the project. Then the energy estimation report. Okay, and next comes after the designing. Okay, we need to when designing, we need to collect these things. We need to collect the components data sheets. It will be covers in the data sheet. We need to have PV modules details, okay, inverters details, transformers details, junction box details, cable details, okay, connectors details, earthing cable details, lightning arresters, surging production devices. So like this, we need to have all these components data sheets, warranty certificates and other certificates of the PV and the inverters. Okay, and we need to have invoices of all the products, okay, that contains the bill of all the products that we had purchased for the project. Okay, next we can categorize the contract into three different categories. One is the EPC contract, next is the O&M, that is operation maintenance contract, then is a supplier contract. Okay, in the EPC contract, so it has the scope of the EPC work. We need to have a track record, we need to have a warranty terms and provisions. Okay, we need to have a liquidated damage provisions, and we need to have a guarantee performance ratio. Whereas when you go for the operation maintenance contract, we need to have a scope of the O&M work, we need to have a track record, we need to have a duration and renewal options, and we need to have a plan and the frequency. Okay, and most importantly, we need to have a guaranteed availability criterion related calculation. Next comes the supplier contract. In the supplier contract, we need to have a technical specification, we need to have a track records, we need to have a warranty terms and conditions, next certification conditions, next acceptance test procedures. Next, when we get into the supply chain management, okay, so most importantly, this supply chain management comes under the category of this procurement process only, because inside the supply chain management, okay, we need to look after the pre-shipment as well as pro-shipment inspection activities, okay, supervisions, lab test, everything we need to cover inside it, because in this one we will go through so many inspections, we will do the certification reports, and we need to have a sampling testing also. And we need to be pretty clear about when the material we had ordered, when it will arrive, Okay, when it is arrived, how we are planning to transport that to the site. Okay, for that we need to have a bill of materials. Okay, we need to have follow some techniques, procedures in order to do the pre-shipment activities as well as the post-shipment activities in a better way. Okay, and most importantly, we need to have the full scope management in the solar project. One is PV modules, mounting structures, trackers, DC cables, DC combiner box, inverters, GIS, that is main transformers, SVC, box transformers, power cable, switch gear. Next comes the most important thing is that construction management. Okay, because whenever you do the construction management, okay, there is a possibility. First and foremost thing is that you need to lead the project with the persons who are experienced in that field. Then whenever you are recruiting the trainees, you need to provide them the proper trainings. Okay, and you need to do the conformity checks. You need to have a defect detections. You need to have a quality assurance. And most importantly, the schedule control is very much important. Okay, and in order to perform the construction management, okay, you need to have inspection reports for each and every activities which is happening inside the particular construction. Then you need to have a project schedule, when you are going to start this activity, when you are going to finish this activity, how you are going to plan it, what will be the milestone list, okay, and what is the quality assurance procedures, what are the method statements that you are going to have for site installation, okay, for testing and commissioning, for commissioning, okay, for maintenance, for the handover, for acceptance tests, for the factory acceptance tests, what will be the method statement, and for the site acceptance tests, what will be the method statement. All these things we need to consider when you are going for a construction management. Okay, because the main important task that you are going to do in the construction management will be the project schedule control and the quality assurance. Next step, we can categorize the key important milestones. First and foremost thing in the project that you need to do is you need to do the earthing system. Then you need to do the pile ramping. Then you need to make the concrete foundation buildings. Then we need to do the mounting structure assembly. Then we need to install the PV module installation. Then we need to install the inverter in the rooms, not in the external environment. Then we need to lay the LV cables using trenchings, and we need to build the substations. Then we need to go for the high voltage cable trenching. Then site acceptance test. Last most important thing is that a commissioning test. So these are the key important milestones of a construction management. Then in the construction management, when you're going for a civil work, you need to look all the civil structures are installed as per the plan that we had designed. Then first and foremost thing that you need to check is that whether the earthing system is installed. Then whether the mounting structures have been arrived and it has been installed as per the drawing. Then we need to look after the inverter cabins, inverter rooms. Okay, then we need to make sure the cable has been routed as per the design drawing. Then we need to make sure the buildings has been constructed for the inverters. Then we need to keep a track of this drainage systems also, because you might be planning some solar panel installations in the ground, or you can be plan on the rooftops also. But draining management is very much important. Make sure the rainfall which is falling over that are collected at different locations. Is there any path and ways for it to take away that water which is being collected because of the rain? Because there is a possibility sometimes, since these are equipments which are being installed externally, okay, there is a possibility for leakage, okay, rainwater leakage to get inside the equipments. Okay, so we need to make sure, okay, whatever the water which is flowing over the systems, it should be taken away to the particular tanks, storage tanks, because those waters can be used for future maintenance, cleaning purposes also. Next thing is the installation wiring. Okay, we need to make sure the PV modules has been installed and wired properly, and also we need to check the inverter has been installed at the right location properly, and make sure if you're going for a high voltage installation also, as the system did, they need to make sure the transformers have been installed properly. Then we need to ensure the high voltage switchgears are installed properly, and most importantly for the monitoring purpose for the high voltage systems, we might be using the current transformers or the potential transformers. We need to make sure it has been arrived and installed as per the design. Okay, then we need to do the protection cubicles. Okay, and most importantly at last, okay, for the energy monitoring, we can use the SCADA systems also. Next, acceptance procedure. So acceptance procedure, the tools that you need to have is, first and foremost thing is that you need to make a verifications. Okay, then you need to do the inspection using the quality assurance and quality control team. then you need to do the testing operations as well as inspection for those testing operation with the quality assurance and quality control team. Then you need to make a certificate and report based on it. Okay, and when you're doing for the acceptance procedure, okay, you need to classify the photovoltaic zones in, okay, and each zones we need to make acceptance criteria. Then and also we need to make the high voltage and the medium voltage substation acceptance test, and we need to do the performance ratio test, and also we need to make the system certifications also. So we need to ensure all the comprehensive systems are working in reliable conditions. Okay, the installation, the operations in line with the related standards. Okay, then if you do the completion management in the acceptance procedure, we need to do the mechanical completion, then commissioning test, reliability run test, initial performance test, and final performance test. So when you're going for a mechanical completion, the system is mechanically, electrically, it should be complete, and the construction of the system should be completed in accordance with the contractual agreements and technical specification. Next is the commissioning test certification. So after mechanical completion, all the equipments with respect to the system need to be tested in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications and the network operator's requirements. Next is the reliability run certificate. So that is very much important. You need to run the entire system for 72 hours. That is approximately 3 days. You need to run them successfully. Okay. Then only we can provide this reliability run certificate. Then most important thing is that the performance certificate. After commissioning, okay, the performance of the system has to be tested in accordance with the contractual agreements. So on the result, we should agree the guaranteed value. Next, in the acceptance test, okay, in the site zone we might be testing the design consistency, is it as per the design. Okay, and we need to do the PV strings and module IV test, and we need to do the IR test, we need to do the earth leakage evaluation, and we need to check the mounting structures, whether it has been installed properly, whether they have been grounded properly, and we need to check the inverter efficiency also. Okay, when it is performing well. Okay, and we need to do the power quality analysis, and we need to do the insulation test, and we need to do the earth resistance test. Next step, the last important thing is the operation manual. So in operation maintenance, okay, you can categorize the operation O&M into two. One is scheduled maintenance, and other one is unscheduled maintenance. In the scheduled maintenance, you need to do the preventive maintenance, you need to do the condition based maintenance. Okay, next in the unscheduled, there comes a category that corrective maintenance. So in the preventive maintenance, okay, the main important activities which should be happening in the preventive maintenance is that module structure integrity, module cleaning, hotspot detection, junction box servicing, inverter servicing, cable conditions, balance of points, inverter servicing, earthing protection, and vegetation control. Okay, next condition based. Sometimes the energy generation is happening there. Sometimes it is a cost, most important thing, because we had invested a lot and we started doing the generation. We cannot stop the generation in most of the industries which is already working. So in such occasions, okay, we need to either perform the cleaning activity before 11 a.m. or after 5 p.m. we need to do the maintenance activities. That is the most important. That is plant maintenance we can perform in the night hours. That is a condition based maintenance. This unscheduled maintenance. Unscheduled maintenance happens in the places where there occurs a problem, there occurs production issues. Okay, there might be a possibility for the components failure to happen in the system. We need to do the diagnostic and repair. We need to respond in such a way within 48 hours. We need to take some initiative steps to resolve the issues which had happened in the site. So this in the unscheduled maintenance, we will check, is there any tightening of loose connections need to be made. We need to replace any damaged modules, and also most importantly we need to check, we need to replace any blown fuses. Okay, we need to repair the blown fuses, or we need to rectify the inverter faults, and we need to repair the equipments damaged by the intruders. And sometimes there is a possibility for replace the blown connectors, MC4 connectors, and we need to rectify the SCADA faults, and also we need to rectify any mounting structure faults also. Okay, and most importantly, when you are performing any operational maintenance activities, okay, testing activities, okay, we need to have a first aid kits. Okay, when the manual should be very much important, because it will be easy for the maintenance person who is doing maintenance process. So it will be easy for them to do the references. So they should have a O&M manual. Then we need to have a system service logbook. Okay, when the loss service has been happened, what we have resolved on that. Okay, so on what schedule we are doing the performance maintenance process, service process. those things we need to have. We need to do with the help of paper and pen. We need to do this log work. Okay, and equipments like we need to have a digital multimeter, clamp meter, most importantly. Okay, and if you are going for an off-grid system, if you are having a battery, then you need to have a hydrometers also in order to check the healthiness of the batteries, and we need to have a battery maintenance kit with us. Okay, sometimes there is a possibility for distilled water to get reduced inside the battery. In such occasions, you need to use this battery water filters also. Okay, then some other tools like we need to have screwdrivers, angle finders, crimping tools, measuring tapes, cleaning brushes, hammers, wire strippers, flashlights, cutting pliers and wire cutters. Even sometimes we need to have nut drivers also. Apart from it, there are some costly equipments. If the project is very big, if you're going for a megawatt project, then you need to have a current voltage testers. You need to have a thermographic camera in order to know the hotspots. Okay, and we need to have a pyranometer. Okay, apart from it, all these screwdriver tools, hammers, measuring tapes, megometer, crimping tools, angle finder, battery maintenance kits, components, wire cutters, flashlights, cutting blades, wire strippers, cleaning brushes and water fillers, all these things you need to have with you. Okay, so this is an example of the multimeter that you should have. You need to have if you are having a multimeter, it should have a display, it should have a selection knobs, you need to have a ports, and you need to have a maximum measuring voltage of 1000. Okay, these are the clamp meters which is to measure the current which is in the particular line. Okay, next most important thing, during the maintenance operation you might observe the dust on the PV modules. Okay, we are given an example here. If it is an unclean module, okay, when you go for the actual monthly energy generation, it might be around 1143 kilowatt hour. When you after doing the maintenance process, when you done the cleaning of modules, the production will increase. So it means the effect of dust on the PV module is very much important. So cleaning is required, okay, on a scheduled basis. Next, shading is also important, because during the surrounding there might be some trees. Okay, you might have installed it on 3 years before or 2 years before. Now a tree had grown over there and it is creating a shadow over there. Because of this shadow, there is a possibility for the power to reduce. So we need to make an analysis of shadows, okay, in the surrounding objects. Okay, and moisture, if there is because of too much moisture, there is a moisture to get condensate on the over the PV modules. This is how it looks like. And if you have cracks over the particular cells, this is how it looks like. And if any corrosion happens, okay, this is how it looks like. If a delamination happens also, it looks like this. Okay, then most importantly, there is a possibility for the module to get damaged when people are playing crickets, or if somebody is throwing blasting operations. There is a possibility for stones to get damage this PV modules. And some idiots, sometimes they used to walk over the modules. Okay, we should never and never climb on the modules. Okay, never sit or stand on the PV modules. Okay, and most importantly, the next most important process of this operation maintenance is that wet cleaning. You can do it manually before performing any sort of cleaning process. Make sure the inverter is switched off before performing any maintenance activities. Okay, then we can also perform dry cleaning methods also. Okay, we can have the following cleaning equipments also. And if you're going for a wet cleaning using the robotics method, you can use automated systems also. Okay, and even when you're performing automated methods also, make sure you have switched off the inverter before doing any maintenance activities. Now during the inverter checking, okay, you need to ensure the system installer has done a good job or not, because sometimes if your energy production from the inverter should be should go to the main distribution box. From there only it should distribute to the other loaded equipments. Okay, if you connect directly, okay, only 2500 watts is going to the main distribution board, and rest you are connecting directly to the loads, then it is a wrong connection. Okay, this is the correct connection. The energy generated from the inverter should go to the main distribution board. From the main distribution you can distribute to the loads. Okay, next, whenever you're going to do a maintenance operation, okay, note down the readings from the inverter display screens. Okay, what is the power, okay, what is the voltage, what is the current that you can see. Is the inverter showing any indications, fault indications? Okay, is there an inverter had detected any warnings or faults inside the detector? That's the first thing you need to do. Then, and you need to make sure visually check and inspect is there any external damages which had occurred. Sometimes there is a possibility for errors to happen, okay, there is a possibility of burning out to happen, and make sure, okay, the inverter area is very clean, okay, and its base is sealed properly, okay, and check is there any loose or disconnected wires. Do not expose your inverters to direct sunlight. Always install your inverters, okay, over under the roof, okay, and even if you can provide the rooms with a ventilation also, it is a good one. And make sure the cables and conduits are properly tightened. If it is loosened also, there is a possibility for a power reduction, okay, and check the proper grounding of the inverters are there, and clear the complete written report, okay, of things that you had observed during your testing along with the date and time, okay. Next, when you're going for a maintenance troubleshooting, there is a 4 possible things to happen. One, the inverter will not be turning on, and the second one, the output is less than the comparable system in the same location, and there is a lack of power output compared to the previous routine inspection, and there is a possibility for no input voltage from the solar PV module and no injection onto the grid. So whenever the inverter is not turning off, these are the following possible causes. One is power switch might be defective, okay, take it to the service center for the repair. Inverter might be tripped, press the trip reset button on the inverter to reset it, and check if you are going for off-grid systems, there is a possibility for battery terminals to lose. Check the battery terminals, check the battery terminals are corroded or rusty. If it is corroded, please perform the cleaning of battery terminal operations. Make sure the battery is strong or not. If it is weak, charge it. If it is old, please replace it, okay. Make sure battery is discharging properly, okay. Make sure is there any fault in the battery. If it is faulty, please replace the battery, and make sure the battery terminals are correctly connected. If it is reverse, please change it, okay. And next important thing is that there is a possibility for the fuse to blown inside the direct current distribution boxes. Even on the AC side, SPDs also, there is a possibility for fuse to blown. So always make sure the fuses are correct, because if there occurs any short circuit or if there occurs a overload, there is a possibility for the fuse to blown. This is how the fuse blown fuse looks like, okay. And sometimes when you are inspecting the off-grid systems, there is a possibility for the battery terminals for battery sulfations, okay. Check for the battery, check for the cable routings also importantly. If you had routed the light your cables barely without any pipes or conduit, there is a possibility for them to get damaged. Always follow the proper cable routing, and if there is a battery sulfation, using the baking soda with the brushes, you can clean your batteries, then you can tighten the battery terminals, okay. And make sure the loops are proper. If it is a closed loop, it should be it should not be that much tightened, okay. It should be loosely tightened, okay. And make sure the current cable connections are made properly, and you have used the cable ties for proper routings. If it is an improper installation, this is how you can see the conductors. Even if it is a very loose connections also, there is a possibility for damages, open loop to happen. And most importantly, whenever you are doing a cable work, make sure the cable conduits are closed properly, and it should, even in the side also, these side edges can damage your cables. Always route using the conduits properly, okay. And make sure is there any incorrect conduits are damaged. If it is damaged, you need to replace it, okay. And make sure the cables are labeled properly, because this will be useful for the maintenance purpose. If it is not labeled, it is very difficult to trace out which cable is coming from where, okay. Always use the cable labeling, very important on the panel side. And when you're make sure your PV cables have been routed properly using the cable ties, okay. And always make a proper choices of the fuses, okay. Use AC fuses for the AC side and DC rated fuses for the DC side, okay. And most importantly, when you're performing wiring, okay, always ensure you're following the color codes. For the supply AC side, red, yellow, blue you need to follow, and for the apparent AC 3-phase side, you need to have a red, yellow, blue and black. And for the normal solar DC system, you can use red and black, okay. And for the mid wire, you can go with the black also. In sometimes you can use blue also, okay. And for the single phase system, you can use red and black, okay. And for the protective conductors, always use green and yellow cables, okay. And for the earthing, okay, always use copper. If you're going for a copper earthing strips, it will look in the copper element color. Use that elements always. Don't go for any other colors. Okay. And make sure your mounting structures are in a good installation. Okay, if there is any bad installation, please replace them. Okay, please through the civil works try to correct that installation. Okay, there should not be any loose connections like this, and if it is rusted, please replace them. Okay, and most importantly, make sure your tilt angle of the PV module is proper. Okay, if there is any changes in it, try to clear them. And most importantly, as we told earlier, during the starting of the project, grounding is very much important. Even lightning arresters also you need to ground it properly. So if you do any sort of groundings, there is a possibility for your metal enclosures to provide you the shock connections. So instead of that, always go for equipment groundings also. Okay, so AC side you need to do the groundings properly, DC sides you need to do the groundings properly. Okay, even lighting protections also you need to perform it well. Even for the PV modules, the lighting to strike the PV modules also, if it is grounded properly, it will go to the ground rod. Okay, and key points that you need to remember is that always look for a place for the inverter that has a good ventilation, and make sure, okay, any direct sunlight should not fall on your inverters, and make sure the sunlights are falling on your solar PV modules. Inspect and clean, okay, and replace the filters of the inverters. Okay, check for the loose and disconnected wires. Okay, check if inverter inlet and outlet fans are working properly. Okay, and most importantly, check the insulated gate, bipolar transmitters and inverter boards for discolorations. Okay, check for the input DC and output AC capacitors for is there any side of damages from overheating. Check for the proper grounding levels and create a complete written inspection report. Again, the ground fault fuse and even the AC fuses must be kept in spare. Okay, and also make sure your PV module cables are generally tied with a cable tie. Do not open or work in electrical boxes, particularly in the wet condition. Okay, and most importantly, if a cable ties, there is a span for it. If it is got damaged, please check and replace the cable ties. Okay, always do the periodic maintenance. Okay, and also monitor everything in the SCADA. If it is a very big system, okay, do not work on the equipment unless and until it is isolated from the both AC and the DC side. Okay, and most importantly, if any fuses blown, please replace them. Okay, and next important thing is that safety. Okay, safety is the first most important thing that you need to follow in your side. You need to wear the helmets properly. You need to wear the safety shoes properly. You need to wear the safety jackets. You need to wear the specs for the hot areas when you're working. And most importantly, when you're working at heights, okay, most importantly on the roof, always use the safety belts when you're working there. Okay, safety is very much important, and make sure you had protected the required warning symbols on the PV array junction boxes, and provide the caution symbols, okay, warning symbols whenever necessary, wherever necessary. Okay, so we can categorize the hazards into three: either physical, electrical and the chemical. Okay, so you need to protect your body parts like head, eyes, faces, hands and arms, bodies and feet using the required equipments. For head, you need to go for helmets. For eye protection, use the safety glasses. For face, use the face shield when you're doing the welding operations. For the hands and arms, use the gloves. Okay, and for the bodies, use vest, and for the feet, use the safety shoes. Okay, so these cotton gloves you can use for cable pulling purposes, but when you're working for live circuits, always you go for this PVC gloves. And this is incorrect practice. Without safety belt, you should not sit on the rooftops. Always use the safety belts when you're working on the rooftops. Okay, and this is a correct practice to use the gloves when you're doing any sort of electrical activity. Don't use normal slippers. Okay, go with the safety shoes inside the site. Okay, and even in the helmets, we have so many categories. Okay, always try to go for class B types and class A types. Okay, if your work is very hard work, okay, inside the site. And most important key points when you're working on a site is that you need to know how many people are working on the site and what are the expected return time. Okay, and do you have any access to the phone services? Make sure your employees, your colleagues have a proper safety trainings required for them. Always carry a first aid kit. Okay, make sure is there any clinic or hospital near it. Okay, and most importantly, make sure what is your emergency plan, what is your emergency contact number, who is which person you need to contact. Okay, and those details you need to have with your team members. Okay. Next, most important thing is that for the installation and warranty, you need to have a information checklist which contains basic information about the company's contact persons, company website, and next important thing about the PV modules, performance, inverters, batteries, overall installation, owner's documentation, operation maintenance instruction, emergency contact number. Okay, on the electrical side, you need to make sure the cabling is proper, insulation is proper, conduct selection has been proper, production measures have been made proper. The same thing we need to follow for the mechanical things also. Okay, and most importantly, you should not connect your aluminum in direct contact with the concrete. Okay, make sure the proper grounding has been done, and make sure your cable entry must be weatherproof. And okay, and even component installation is also very much important. Make sure PV array modules have been installed and it is neat and clean. Okay, make sure inverters installed at the safe locations. Make sure wiring has been routed properly, whether the grounding has been routed properly. There should be a separation between the DC cables as well as the AC cables. Okay, and grounding considerations, and in the maintenance checklist, make sure the company name, who is doing the maintenance process, what's its number, what's its mail ID, what is the company website. Okay, when you're doing the inspection, what is the plant capacity, what are the things that you have inspected in the module and the array side. Okay, so make sure it is cleaned properly, there is no any damages. If you notice any damage, make them in the report. Okay, do the proper cleaning process. Okay, check for the connectors has been connected properly, and make sure the labeling is proper. Okay, is there any new shadings over it? Okay, make sure your AC side, DC side, every fuses are correct. Okay, make sure your surge protection devices are okay, and make sure your batteries are in a proper ventilation room. If it is sulfated, please clean them. Okay, make sure the enough distilled water is there in the batteries. Okay, next, on the inverter side, make sure the display is okay. Okay, is there any showing any sort of errors or warning symbols? If it is warning, try to resolve them. Okay, and whenever you do the maintenance thing, always install the safety logo plates over there. Okay, make sure your AC and DC breakers are proper. Okay, if it is switch on also, whether the production is okay or not, check for is there any abnormality owing to the temperatures. Okay, so the final most important thing is that for a successful solar project, 5 E's are very much important. Okay, and also 5 P's are very much important. The 5 P's here refers to proper planning, prevents for performance, and most importantly, for the 5 most important E's for a successful solar project is an essential research. Okay, experienced team. Okay, entire process quality control, then excellent construction, and most important thing is that the efficient operation maintenance. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and press the bell icon. If you like the video, please share to your friends. It is a very useful video. If you want to know more and learn more, you can contact us. We can provide the contact details here. And if you want to learn the automation basics, if you want to learn the PLC programming, then you can contact us. We are providing Siemens, Allenbrunn, Delta PLC programming also. You might have an interest to work in the GCC countries like Qatar, Oman, Saudi, Dubai. If you are really interested to work in the building automation industry, we can guide you. Even now, this building automation is getting established in the multi-storage buildings, and most importantly, even in metro stations, okay, airports, we have this building automation system, building management system. If you're really interested, you can contact us. If there is no EB power, if you want to establish using the solar, then you can contact us. And most importantly, you might have an agriculture pond. If you want to protect your crops from the wild animals, you can go for the solar fencing. We are providing solar fencing, electrical fencing equipment as a kit. Okay, for solar on-grid, off-grid, hybrid applications, solar street lights, solar pump services, solar EPC services. We are providing design. Okay, we are providing consultancy and training supports. Okay, and most importantly, if you want to learn the access control basics and the electrical vehicle basics, then you can contact us. We can provide the contact details here. Even if you want to know the fire alarm basics also, you can contact us. We have provided the contact details here. Thank you so much.